the all-powerful Hollywood studio system, the short, scrawny, self-proclaimed Yankee dame who, legs spread wide, arms akimbo, and head held high, had publicly and repeatedly stood up to the studio bosses and their teams of lawyers, to directors, writers, and other actors, to anyone, in short, who had the audacity to fail to see things her way. And this was the Bette Davis whose matchless gift for expressive gesture and movement had allowed her to give several of the most lucid and compelling acting performances ever recorded on film. Her stardom had allowed her to realize the long-frustrated personal ambitions of her famously devoted mother, Ruthie Favor Davis, who had once sacrificed every hope of her own to Betty's career and happiness. It had not yet been 6 months since her mother's death when Betty stepped forward to acknowledge the ecstatic applause of her fans at the Broadway premiere of The Night of the Iguana. Although Williams's awarding her the role of Maxine Falk seemed like a fitting culmination of all of her many struggles through the years, Betty had no qualms about derailing the play like this, momentarily leaving the text and the other actors far behind. Let Patrick O'Neill linger frantically off stage, waiting to hear his cue. Let Tennessee Williams continue to pace back and forth, anxious for New York's response to his latest major effort. Let Frank Corsaro, recently expelled from the production at her behest, go on staring daggers at her from his orchestra seat. As Bette Davis faced her legion of admirers, she felt that she had more than earned this glorious moment, earned the validating shouts of praise and approbation that had always meant more to her than anything else. O'Neill had nearly despaired of being summoned on stage when suddenly, at long last, he saw Betty step back, re-enter the world of the fiction, and cry out lustily, "Shannon!" the signal that the drama was about to begin. Chapter 1. In August 1897, the Free-Will Baptists who congregated each summer in Ocean Park, Maine, held a talent show in the auditorium of the Free Baptist Temple. Among the scheduled performers was a broad-shouldered girl of 11 named Ruthie Favor, well known to her audience as a bold and incorrigible tomboy. Ruthie regularly paraded about Ocean Park in her elder brother's clothes and commanded everyone, including her own family, to call her Fred. It was no secret that Ruthie Favor despised being a girl. But now, much to everyone's astonishment, little Ruthie seemed to have undergone a total transformation. The child emerged on stage cloaked in a flowing white gown and declaimed long passages from Lew Wallace's Prince of India. She gracefully illustrated her words with artistic poses and gestures in the then-popular Delsarte style. Ruthie's metamorphosis was due to her having come under the influence that July of the local Delsartist, Miss Sadie Porter. Miss Porter's father, the Reverend Dr. Ethnan Porter, was co-founder and superintendent of the annual Free Baptist Chautauqua Assembly in Ocean Park, and pastor of the Free Baptist Parish in Lowell, Massachusetts, where Ruthie and her family lived during the year. In its day, the church-sponsored Chautauqua movement, named for the upstate New York town where it originated, offered secular educational and cultural programs in as many as 300 local Chautauquas throughout the United States. Founded in 1881, Dr. Porter's Chautauqua in Ocean Park served anti-Calvinist Free Will Baptists from New England who timed their vacations to correspond with the evangelical camp meetings at Saco Bay. Sadie Porter's much-attended classes in the Delsarte art of expression urged the Baptist daughters to liberate their bodies through gesture and dance, to express their souls. Gesture corresponds to the soul, declared the French elocutionist and dramatic coach François Delsarte, 1812 to 1871. Delsarte's arcane theories of how the spiritual is communicated through the physical enjoyed an immense vogue in 1890s America that is difficult to conceive today, when his name is scarcely remembered. But as the 19th century drew to a close, impassioned disciples across the country heeded Delsarte's call. Self-anointed Delsartists echoed with varying degrees of accuracy the master's law of correspondences. To each spiritual function responds a function of the body. And throughout America, their followers replied with the dramatic gestures and statue-like poses the spiritually uplifting aesthetic gymnastics outlined in Delsarte manuals, including one published by the Chautauqua movement in 1892, expressly for use in classes such as Miss Porter's. Countless young women, like the pastor's daughter, had been attracted to the Delsarte system of relaxation exercises, calisthenics, and expressive movement for its curious intermingling of the spiritual and the sensual, which allowed them to cultivate an intense new awareness of their own bodies while remaining confident that it was really spiritual improvement that they were so ardently seeking. And for an 11-year-old tomboy who had insisted on dressing and being addressed as a male, the Delsarte drills taught by Miss